The iPhone 15s are really not meant for everyone. I've been using my iPhone 15 Pro Max for about a few weeks now, and there's some pros, there's some cons, and these are my first impressions using this iPhone 15 Pro Max. Now, before we get too far into the review or the first impressions of this phone, I want to talk about my model, which is the natural titanium iPhone 15 Pro Max with a 512 gigabytes of memory. Apple really outdid themselves this year with the color options that they made available, but out of those amazing color options, I went with natural titanium because I just think it looks the best. I'm coming from the iPhone 14 Pro Max. We'll talk more about this one later, but this is probably the best color you can get. I think for most people, 512 gigabytes should be more than enough. I have a heavy workload with this phone as a content creator person. On my day-to-day, I record a lot of videos, I take a lot of pictures, and those are all pretty memory intensive, and I still have a hard time filling up 512 gigabytes in a year, so I think most people should be fine with 512 or below. Now, for a little background about my life, I'm coming from the iPhone 14 Pro Max, and I switched over to the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and the first thing that you can tell when you switch between these two devices is the sheer weight. Now, for some reason, I didn't get invited to the Apple conference this year, but through the grapevine, I heard that they were very excited about the new titanium build of the iPhone 15s.
Titanium is incredibly strong. Titanium is just beautiful.
Grade 5 titanium.
Our astonishing new titanium design.
As I carry more and more gear day to day, I definitely welcome the lighter phones. So thank you for the titanium finish, and make sure to invite me next year because my feelings are hurt. Now, another main change that I like compared from the 14 to the 15 is the edges. Like this corner is really sharp on the 14th. It's not really sharp. It's not gonna cut my hand or anything like that. But when you hold it and compare it with the 15, the 15's a lot nicer. It just doesn't feel as sharp and it feels more natural to hold in the hand, which is probably why I'm not gonna be using a case this year. For the first time, I'm gonna try to rock an iPhone without a case. We'll see how far that gets me. If you've been following any iPhone 15 news, you may have seen that the iPhone 15s have a huge problem, and that's that they shipped with a bug that causes them to overheat.
The company is blaming a software bug in its iOS 17 system. Days after the new phones went on sale, people reported them getting too hot to handle while using apps like Instagram and Uber.
So in the first couple of weeks of using my phone, it's just been overheating, getting super hot. And I have a huge fear of hot metal, so I did not appreciate that. And I couldn't really pinpoint what was causing these phones to overheat, but I didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. If this was a super cheap phone that you got from Walmart clearance section and it overheated a bit, that's one thing, but these are $1,300 phones, so the fact that they shipped with an overheating problem is bizarre. But as of yesterday, they have released a new iOS update, and they say that they are going to fix the warm iPhones, which I think is funny because Apple will never admit that their phones are overheating. They'll change the narrative and say they are a bit warm. So that's what the new iOS update aims to fix. And from using my phone one day with this new update, I can say that it doesn't overheat as much. Time will tell if this iOS update will fix it in the long run. We'll see. Now, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to tell, good luck, but there's another huge difference between the iPhone 14s and the iPhone 15s. And it's a feature that Apple was sued into adding into the iPhone 15s, and that's USB-C. I can't remember the last time I heard of a company getting sued into adding a new feature to their phones, but I'm glad it happened because the USB-Cs are a welcome change that a lot of folks have been asking for a long time. Now, at first, I really didn't care that they added the USB-C, but after a few weeks using the iPhone 15, I can say it's definitely a welcome change. Not sure if you can tell, but I am a creator of sorts and I use a lot of different gear to make this creations happen. And I've actually been really enjoying having a device that has USB-C on it that I carry with me throughout the day. And here's why. So now for almost all of my creative endeavors, I really only need one USB-C to USB-C cable. These are all of my SSDs that I use to store my video files, and I can just easily plug in to my phone, which is crazy. And this wireless microphone that I use a ton also uses USB-C. So now I don't have to worry about carrying an extra cable. I can just straight up plug it into my phone and we're good to go. So those are a few of the benefits of using the iPhone 15 as a creator, but it can also do some other just weird things with the USB-C. Like I can plug this iPhone 15 into my 49-inch ultra wide monitor and essentially use this bad boy as a computer. I can probably actually connect my Bluetooth keyboard to my phone, plug this phone into my 49-inch monitor, and this essentially becomes a computer that you can use. It is actually priced about the same as a computer, so that makes a lot of sense. And the addition of USB-C makes that whole entire process a lot easier. But a lot of my older devices still use lightning cables, so I still have to juggle 2 different cables. Now, since this phone feels honestly really nice in the hand and it's super light and it's really pretty, I don't want to rock a phone case with this, and I probably won't. And a bit nervous about that because I've seen a lot on the internet about these iPhones cracking. So in this super viral video, homeboy just straight up cracks the back glass on his phone, which doesn't sound promising. And since then, other people have been trying to stress test their iPhones and see if they can crack them.
Dude, that's just hard. I can't do it.
And that doesn't make me feel the greatest about the integrity of the back glass of this iPhone. In addition to that, Apple also reduced the price to repair the back glass, which doesn't make me feel good either because Apple never reduces prices for things. For the iPhone 14 to replace this back, it's gonna be $500-ish, and for the iPhone 15, I think it's $200. In my opinion, that's Apple telling us that this is probably really easy to break and that they feel bad about that, so they're gonna reduce the price to $200. Completely speculation, but yeah, worried about breaking. I'll let you know in about a month if I completely shatter this phone. Spoiler alert, I didn't even make it an entire month. As I was editing this video, I completely just shattered my phone, and yeah, I'll most likely probably use a case going forward with the iPhone 15s. Now let's move on to the real reason I bought this phone. At this point, I'm honestly just buying a portable camera that also can call and text, because as a lot of us know, the iPhone cameras are honestly one of the best point and shoot cameras that you can have with you. I've shot some really high grade, sharp looking content on the iPhone 14 Pro Max, and this is a 12 megapixel camera, but the camera received a significant improvement. This is now a 48 megapixel camera, and I know a lot of the Samsung folks in the comments will be like, well, we have 175 megapixels. But megapixels isn't everything. Honestly, Apple is doing a ton of software-y stuff to the look of the image to where it looks fantastic. So that even though these are only 12 or 48 megapixels compared to the 175 that Samsung's rocking, the picture quality, the video quality is still going to look amazing on these iPhones. Now, the biggest pain point that I had as far as the camera with the iPhone 14 is that it was really hard to shoot good content in low light. And that's because the sensor size was smaller. And while the sensor size didn't receive a significant upgrade, I think a 48 megapixel camera will still shoot a lot better at low light than a 12 megapixel camera. So that's something I'm really excited to be using as I go on in my content creation future and career. Now, I don't like to toot my own horn, but I think I am an okay camera person. I can point my camera in a direction and record some okay footage. But there are people that are doing crazy things with this camera, almost making full-blown documentaries and movies using the iPhone 15 Pro Max. And that's because it can shoot flat. Like, you can go ahead and color grade this footage after you shoot with it, which is crazy to have that as a feature on a point-and-shoot camera that is a phone. Wild. Now, typically, I don't really care about the zoom features on any phones because I typically don't use that feature. But surprisingly, I've actually been using the 5x telephoto zoom lens on the iPhone 15, and it's really good. You even get this little viewfinder in the corner that can help you pinpoint and narrow in on what you're trying to capture. Anyway, moral of the story is this is a super great camera that is also a phone, and that's pretty much why I picked it up. Now, moving on into the last thing I'm super excited about with this phone is the action button. This is very much not like Apple to add a button to where you can have some customizability. That's a Samsung type of thing. So I am really kind of happy that there is a button that I can program to do anything. You can set it up to start focus mode. You can set it up to launch your camera, flashlight, and you can also even add some custom shortcuts to make this phone do a bit more custom actions. Like maybe you could click this button and it would subscribe to a channel that you're watching, or something like that. But honestly, this is a super cool update for the new phones to have a button that you can set up your own custom workflows. Super not Apple, but I appreciate it. When I made my super dramatic intro to this video saying the iPhone 15s weren't for most people, I wasn't trying to be clickbaity. That's actually my opinion. Coming from an iPhone 14, this iPhone 15 isn't much different. It's lighter. The camera's gonna be better in low light, USB-C, and an action button. Outside of that, it's pretty much the same phone. And I think Apple is really trying to just make really small changes over the course of a long period of time and not reinvent the wheel and have a completely new iPhone experience every time they release a phone. First impression tech product reviews are a new video type for this channel. Let me know how you feel about them. And like always, I'll see you on the next one. See ya.